G'day everyone and welcome to Aussie Tech Security episode 22. Hope this episode is finding you well. We are brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au if for all your shared hosting services, web pages, blogs, whatever you want, WooCommerce, e-commerce, shopping online, all that sort of stuff, athwebhosting.com.au. And also RNI Consulting, that's Roger, Nelly, Igloo consulting.com.au.
Okay.
Yeah, or I don't know the proper alphabet. Or you can Twitter Roger at SME Security or Twitter me at Aussie Tech Heads or at Glenn Goodman. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll say good day to Roger. How you doing, Roger?
Good morning, mate. Good. Yeah. Very good.
That's excellent. Excellent. And where are you this week? Are you back in your office or are you back at the ADFA?
No, I'm back at ADFA, yeah.
Oh, okay. How are you going with the office? I think last we heard, wasn't you lost power or something?
We've had a lot of fun. We're probably going to get another office in the near future, but we're not really stressing about it at the moment. So
right, you're just crashing there at ADFA.
Yeah. on my little Telstra doohickey.
Oh, good stuff. Look, there is podcast awards going on this year, and it's castawayawards.com, and you can vote for us if you like. There is a popular podcast category, and you can vote at castawayawards.com/vote. Thanks to the people that have voted already. You just jump on there, find the Aussie Tech Security, which comes up first page. Yes, and just push it, and you should register your vote. So jump on that and have a look. castawayawards.com/vote. Now this episode, I think we're going to have a bit of a look at routers. We've had brief looks at routers over the weeks, but I thought let's jump in and try and see what we can do when we get the router home. And do we plug it in and are we good to go, or do we need to do a few things?
Can I just butt in first?
You may butt away.
when you someone's coming to the door. Yeah. When you buy a router, try to buy the most expensive one you can.
Yes.
That way you're going to get a lot more features, and also you're going to get a lot more protection as well.
Now, you like Cisco, I believe.
Cisco, Fortinet, Palo Alto, you name it. And any of the top five is probably best place to start. You can now pick up a Cisco router for $250, $300, which is really good value.
Right. So any sort of Cisco router you would recommend, or is there particular models, or you go high?
They go from $300 all the way up to $2,500 for home computers. So,
what does a $2,500 give you that a $250 one wouldn't give you?
It gives you a lot more granular control over the connection itself, and also protects you from the internet as well.
Right. Because at the moment I'm thinking of buying one just to supplement, or because I'm restricted with routers. Like when you're on cable, like I'm on the Telstra cable, I'm restricted to the modem that they give me. As far as I know, pretty much you can't buy other cable modems.
You can, but it just takes, as long as you can get the information out of Telstra, which is usually the hardest part of it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, because for some reason, I'm browsing around the internet, and all of a sudden you browse away and I get this screen, no internet, and you just wait 2 seconds and then it'll start back up again. Not often, but it happens. And I'm thinking, is my Telstra modem, because it's a Wi-Fi modem, is it getting overpowered? Or is it struggling because everyone else, they're on YouTube or watching something or doing this or doing that? So,
actually, I've got a Telstra router at home as well, and mine has been doing roughly the same thing for the last couple of weeks. It'll just drop, especially during the day. It might be because the kids are on holiday.
Yeah.
But it literally, the only reason I know it, because if the TV is on and we've got a smart TV in that type of thing.
Better than a dumb one.
It comes up and says it's not going to work because it can't connect to the internet.
Right.
Which is really, as you can imagine, that's really annoying when you're just watching TV.
Yeah, well, yes, it would be. But so I'm thinking that the modem is getting a bit overwhelmed by everything. And I know Eric, if from the Aussie Tech Heads podcast, that he's bought another router and bridges it to the modem, and it's a more powerful router. It's got a higher processor or something, so it's probably better it's easier for it to deliver what it has to deliver around the place. So I'm thinking of going down that route.
Okay.
So I might look at these Cisco's and see what happens. So all right. So normally Cisco, Netgear, whatever you get, TP Link or D-Link or whatever you get.
Depending on what you're doing, I would definitely not go with the TP Link unless it's just the last resort, mainly because it's got a Chinese chipset and nobody seems to know exactly what they're doing.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why things like NBN are very dubious about anything that's done in China.
That's right. There's that big kerfuffle about the Huawei in the submarines or something, wasn't it, a little while ago? But that's fair enough too. Fair enough. Like, why not make our own chips in Australia? That'd be something new, wouldn't it?
Well, what, manufacturing? Stop that.
I know. That's a nasty word, isn't it? It's forbidden.
Oh, look, we're going to make that. What?
What's that word? We've scrubbed that out of the dictionary 20 years ago.
That's right.
Now, okay, so you bring your router home, whatever flavour it may be, you bring it home, you hook it in, and away you go. So you might say, you think, okay, I'll change the Wi-Fi password, as you know, because you're good little security heads. You might even actually change the router password. Like something crazy.
Really,
I know.
Really good idea. The moment when you go through the wonderful wizard that 95% of them have got, the first thing they recommend you do is change the password to something complex. Now, complex means literally letters, numbers, characters, anything like that. And it has to be really more than 8 characters long as well.
Yes, yeah. And I think from memory, and if you want, I'll just go back here again with Roger's tips for passwords. It doesn't have to be some convoluted A, B, C, left bracket, exclamation mark, right bracket. I think you're a fan of like a sentence, aren't you? Like,
exactly right.
I like going to the beach on Sundays.
That's the one. Well, I play golf every Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. So and even though that those passwords don't contain those special characters, that's something like that. It'd still be pretty hard to crack.
Well, even just typing in that, I play golf on Saturday afternoon, is relatively a relatively complex password because it's got letters, it's got capitals, and it's got spaces. So in other words, you're already hitting the complexity that you require, and it's something you're going to remember relatively easy as well.
So does a space constitute a special character?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
And spaces are a really good place to start because one of the things about the cracking software is the moment they hit a space on the systems, they sometimes crash just because of that, because a space is 2 characters.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to move you up there, Roger. You're sort of sinking down in the chair there.
No, I'll just...
No, that's all right. I did it from here. How's that?
Oh, okay.
I can do these things, the wizardry of the internet.
If I start moving my chair up and down.
No, I just looked at you and thought, you're a bit sunken. All right. So you change your passwords. You do the right thing. Now, is there any other types of things that you can tweak just to give you a more secure experience?
The other thing is to look at if you're going to use your Wi-Fi connection on your router is something you need to look at as well. If it's WEP, don't use it. And that's one of the things that you should be looking at when you actually buy the router. If it's WEP, what are you doing? If it's WEP or it's WPA, not WPA2, I wouldn't purchase it anyway because the security components are not very secure at all.
Right. Okay. So you say what? So what's the protocol that you would use?
WPA2, not enterprise, private if you can, right. which is a complex passphrase that passes between the device and whatever you're connecting to, and that actually initiates the encryption between the 2 points. Right. So all information is encrypted in that way.
So what's the enterprise edition? Like what?
Yeah, enterprise is actually used if you've got something like Radius. Radius is a server that sits inside a network, and it actually manages the connection between your Wi-Fi and your devices, so that you can actually granularly control users. So
Right.
in other words, I've got user A who's allowed to have full access, and I've got user B who's only allowed to access between 1 and 2 in the afternoon type thing. And
Right.
that allows you to be able to control that Wi-Fi connection really, really granularly to the level of what you want to do as a business.
So does that mean, like, just thinking back now? So does that mean if your Wi-Fi modem has got the enterprise, say, edition of the WPA2?
Yep.
Does it mean that then you can do all that other stuff, or do some of them just come with the enterprise system for kicks?
No, it comes with the enterprise components, but you still need to have a server with Radius running on it.
Oh, okay, right.
And that what you do is you when you're setting up the WPA2 enterprise connection, you then point it to the server and say, this is where you're going to get the information for. And it also, as I said, I can have 1,000 users on a Radius server that have specific, each individual one has specific connection requirements. And I can manage it like that as well.
Right, okay. And I know something else I noticed on the modems or routers, whatever, these days. By the way, while we're thinking of separating them like that, so is a modem router as good as a modem and a router?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Modems are used with ADSL, and a router is usually used with a cable. But if you've got a connection that needs a modem to connect, you can put a modem in place and then bridge it so that then the router can take over.
Right. And what about, I noticed when you fire them up, you get like a little guest account.
Yes.
What, is that should you leave that there so people that come and visit can
no.
log in?
Definitely not.
Well, they'd be my guests.
They're your guests. One of the things that that is really a good idea is to turn it off. If you want people to use it, then there are other alternatives. The guests account were actually created probably about 4 or 5 years ago, before the bad guys actually started targeting Wi-Fi in a really significant way. And they were literally designed so that anybody could connect to a Wi-Fi device and off you'd go. Today, it's not a very good idea at all.
Right, but they're still pushing it out, aren't they?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Again, security just is not... we're always looking at convenience. We're not looking at the security components of the internet.
Yeah. Okay, so turn the guest off. We've changed all the passwords.
Yep.
And so what I've tried to do, what about so LAN versus Wi-Fi, say? So if you've got the ability, say if I'm sitting here at my desk, apart from the speed issues, but if I'm sitting at my desk, should I be LANing in or Wi-Fiing in? Is there a difference, or is one more secure than the other?
One is more secure. The WAN is always more secure because it's very hard to get something onto the cable between the cable and between the two devices. You've got to remember that a wired network is a switched network, which means that only the port on that switch will talk to the device. Fair enough, I can unplug it from the device and put it back into the router in a different port, and the routing table and the switching table at the back will then work out where it's got to do and everything else. 51 is on. Wi-Fi is a bit different because it's a hub environment, so all of the information that's going across that connection, everybody who's connected to it can see it. Fair enough, if it's encrypted, that's good. But if it's not encrypted and you haven't got to use a password put in place, I can literally read everything that you put over the system. There are technologies and systems that we have available that we can actually kick people off a Wi-Fi connection and keep them off. So we can actually do a denial of service. Very hard to do if you're actually connected via wire.
Right. So if you've got the ability, so there's a tip. If you've got the wherewithal, plug it in.
Yes,
if you can.
Totally agree.
So,
and also with today's routers and modem routers, depending on the actual bandwidth required for the wireless. So if you get a 300 modem router, it would only allow probably 5 or 6 devices to connect before it has an impact on the speed that everybody's getting. You have a 600, goes up a bit further. But what happens with the difference between a wired and a wireless one is the wired has a guaranteed 100 megabit or gigabit, depending on what the router is. the Wi-Fi 56 to 156.
Yeah.
So you're always going to have that difference.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, and I suppose just delving a bit off track there for a sec, but to get the gigabit speeds, you've got to have the Cat 6A or 6A cabling, haven't you?
Yes, you've got to have. Yeah, you've got to have better than Cat 5.
Yeah.
So Cat 5A, Cat 6, and it's also got to be from. If you've got your house wired up, it also needs to be Cat 5 or Cat 6 as well. So it only goes at the speed of the slowest connection part.
Right. What? Okay. Yes. Right. So even if you had Cat 5 to the bedroom, Cat 6 to the office, that modem would still slow to Cat.
No. It'll only slow on those connections.
Yeah, onto the Cat.
Yeah. So in other words, your bedroom would have Cat 5. So if it's Cat 5A, you'll probably get anywhere between 100 and 300 megabit.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's gigabit, you'll get 600 to 700 megabit.
I asked that question because I've got a box of Cat 6 in the cupboard because I bought some because I'm going to just rewire what I'm doing. But I'm just curious if I would see a market increase in my speed. I don't know. Can't.
Only if you've got it. The bottleneck is always going to be the router. If I plug my computer into a Cat 6 connection and then it goes out on a ADSL connection, I'm still only going to get ADSL speeds on the internet. If I'm using it internally and I'm doing a lot of transferring of files and all that sort of stuff, it will be at gigabit speeds.
Now, I've got a little Netgear 8-port, I suppose a dumb switch. Would you call them a dumb switch? What are your thoughts on those? Like, say, the brand for a switch to start with, Netgear for a switch?
Yeah, switches are not a problem because switches are, as you said, dumb. When you start getting into the realms of a smart switch, then it then becomes a lot more important about what the make and model is, and you also your control over what you want it to do. Things like dumb switches mean literally I plug 4 devices in, it connects to the router, and all of those devices are worked out by the switch itself.
Yep.
But with a smart switch, I can actually specify port speeds. I can specify which ports would talk to which ones. All of that means I can actually granularly control the switch environment that's in place.
Yeah. Those Netgear dumb switches, they're nice, aren't they? I think they're about 80.
Cheap and nasty and do the job. That's great.
Yeah. They're about $80 or something, but they're actually like in a really nice heavy metal container. I like it. I just like people are going light and easy. Well, some people are, but some people are light and easy. But I think something hard and heavy. It feels good in your hand, doesn't it?
Use it as a fishing weight.
Yeah, that's right. Paperweight or whatever.
Yeah.
You could put on your desk and have it switching away while you stop the papers blowing. Now, let's get into other things. Like, when I did mine, for whatever reason, I can't remember, but I changed my IP address range, my local IP address range.
Yep.
I think I did that back in the day because I've got 2 modems or 2 routers in the house. I've set up 2 ranges. One modem's got one range, the other's got the other range.
Yep.
So all the computers that I get in to fix, I hook up to not my normal office range, home range, because if it's got a virus, then it will come straight through all the computers. But if it's on a different range, well, it can't access me.
Yes.
Yeah. So is there a security advantage though? Say, because you're not doing crazy things like that, fixing computers every day. But is there a security advantage of changing the default 192.168?
Not really, no. There is a stipulation on that, though. If you are connecting your system to your work system, for instance, you're at a home system and you're doing a VPN into some other system, you have to make sure that the range you're using and the range the office is using are different, because otherwise the VPN won't work because it doesn't understand that they're on different networks. So it becomes a really big problem. So if you want to set up a VPN on your network, you need to find out exactly what range is in place. And then from there, make those decisions about, are we going to change the range at home or do something else about it or not worry about VPNs?
Why is it? Is it just preference that, say, most of the routers you'll bring home a 192.168, whatever, and then you get a Telstra one, it's 10.4 10.
Yeah, Telstra works on the principle that you're going into a larger environment. I don't know why. But 192.168 is a C-level private address range. You can pick any number for the next one from 0 to 254.
Right.
So in other words, if you want to change it, that's probably the area you would change. You can also use 172.16 or 10.0.
Is there anything stopping you just from making it up?
No, yes. Heaps of things may cause a problem with that. Those three ranges are private addresses.
Yeah.
So in other words, they're private and can be used by anybody anywhere,
Right.
whereas public ones are actually allocated to individuals on the internet. So you can't really use those straight out of the box.
So if you changed it to 8.8.8 or whatever, does that just means that when you want to go to Google or whatever, your DNS will just clash with that, so it just wouldn't work?
It won't connect at all. And also you'll find that the actual internal smarts on the router won't allow you to put a private address range on that, unless of course you're setting it up as a router between two ports or 2 points on the internet itself.
But security-wise, there's no real advantage in changing that. Like once someone's in, they're in. So that's the end of it.
That's right. The idea is to keep everybody out as much as possible.
Yeah. Most routers these days probably got a remote access feature.
Yes. Turn it off.
Yes.
WPA, not WPA. I can't remember what it's called. That's where you press a button on one side and press a button on your printer and it connects.
Yeah, WPA. I think. I'm pretty sure that's it.
No,
Is it?
No.
Oh, yeah. What is WES or something?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that happens, turn it off.
Right. Okay. All
WPS.
WPS. Okay. So what? So you just turn that off. You just turn that off altogether.
Yeah. Literally, what it does is there's a 4-digit PIN number that actually makes the connection. And as I said before, it's a 4-digit PIN number that goes between the two devices. Yep. Not only can you sniff it, but if you know exactly what is going on, it takes me all of about 1/100th of a second to crack a 4-pin number. I can actually then literally initiate a connection on your device and connect my device to you using WPS.
Oh, nasty.
Bad move.
Because I know, I was just thinking then, I haven't done that on mine, I might go and do it, but with the Telstra routers, I think I'm so restricted in what I can do and what I can't do. They dump I think it's a Netgear router that they give you, and they just dump the Netgear software off it and put their own rubbish on there.
Telstra doesn't have rubbish. Well, of course it does.
Well, talking about dumping the firmware, you can update your router. Did you know that? It's a little computer, so you can update it. So that'd be handy, wouldn't it? You'd be doing that. Definitely.
Every time. It's a good idea. One of the things we recommend with everybody is regularly go to your router page. So in other words, log on to the router and have a look if there are updates available. If there are updates available, then run them as soon as possible.
Right. I think there's some routers probably getting old these days. How often should you replace a router, do you think?
Every 2 or 3 years.
Right, really? So even if it's functioning correctly?
Even if it's functioning correctly.
Right.
Even the high-end stuff needs to be replaced every 3 or 4 years because the software is actually then starting to access hardware parts that are either not there or aren't capable of doing some of the security components of what's available. Right. So you get this I suppose mismatch of security components, both software and hardware. Whereas if you throw it away, get a new one every 3 years, then you are guaranteed to have not only the best software but also the best hardware as well.
Oh, right. Well, I think, once again, Telstra, you're pretty stuck, especially with the cable modem. You can't even change the time on the Telstra modem, the cable modem.
Sorry, say that again?
You can't change the time because it displays some UTC time. You can't change it.
No, you can actually set it up with a time server, if I remember rightly. Most routers have that capability, so you actually can point it to a time server within your area, and it will then pick up the local time.
Oh, look, I spent about a day on mine just trying to do different things. And at the end of the day, I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to buy another router and I'm going to turn everything off this modem thing and just use it for the internet. I'm going to rape it for the internet, and that's it. I'm not going to use anything else on it. I'm going to use a proper router, because I'm pretty sure that's given me most of my problems, is that stupid Telstra thing.
Yeah, possibly. As I said, mine's been doing it for the last couple of weeks, where it just we get phone calls from the security company saying we can't get to your system anymore because it's internet based and all that sort of stuff. So,
and also, I don't know why this would be important. I just looked up a website, and it says you got to log out of your router properly, like log out of your web interface properly. So, other than people coming along and getting into it, like, because they see it up on your screen, there's no real other reason why you should.
Most routers have now got a timeout on them.
Yeah.
If you don't touch the screen, it'll actually automatically log you out after about 10 minutes.
Yeah. And I guess another thing as well is, like, if you got things hanging off the router, like power line adapters and all that sort of stuff, or anything that has maybe not dumb, it may be a little bit smart, so therefore you got to log in, it's got a little interface and everything. You probably should make sure that all those passwords are changed from default as well.
Yep.
So
things like video cameras is a classic example, actually. So
video cameras?
Yeah. As in security cameras.
Oh, okay, right, yes, right. So what?
Baby monitors, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They come as all of them have got a web interface, and all of them need to be actually managed the same way you would manage any other device.
So I think
change default passwords, make sure that the network is correct, all that sort of stuff.
So I think the biggest thing you do, and the thing that will give you the most protection, is just change the two passwords: the actual physical box's password to get in, and the Wi-Fi password.
Yep.
And from there on, you should be relatively safe at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Relatively safe.
Relatively safe. Well, I think that's given us a bit of a good overview of setting up a router out of the box. So thanks, Roger. Is there anything else?
Worries.
Anything else?
I think we've covered most of it, actually.
Yeah, I can't think of, other than, you get into the nitty gritty of all the settings and everything, but
each individual system's got its own settings as well, which makes it a lot. When you're talking generic, you have to think about, as I said before, Cisco's got certain features, 48's got certain features. All of these sort of things also come into it as well.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Now, you do have a Facebook page, but no vanity URL. So all I can say is just you go to Facebook and search up digital security.
That's the one.
And you will find Roger's Facebook. You post a lot of little articles, interesting little articles here and there about certain things.
Try to. There's a regular thing that my system in the background does. But every time I come across an article that I think is important to either business or security or anything related like that, I'll throw it on Facebook and LinkedIn and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah. And look, and just on a leaving note, don't get stressed about updating the router's firmware. I know I get stressed updating firmware. Because you think, what happens if I brick it? But it's pretty safe these days. Just make sure you're not on battery, and just go for gold. Go for gold.
This is general advice. General advice.
Yeah, because look, normally I remember, you download and try and update BIOS firmware and all that sort of stuff, and on your PC, and I've bricked a few motherboards.
Yes,
you learn, don't you? And now most of the things these days, they come down with automatic, so software control stuff. Instead of you downloading to execute the program in a pre-DOS environment, it's all automatic. Point out pretty easy. Tick the box on the way you go. All right. Thanks, Roger. Another episode if we can. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time. And
thanks for that. Much appreciated.
Thanks for everyone for listening. And the video will be on YouTube. And also, don't forget the castawayawards.com/vote. And let's see if we can pump up our support. Okay, good stuff. Cheers, everyone. See you next time.
Later.
Bye-bye.